Hi guys, and welcome to today's session. So we're going to be carrying on with our feature studies, so our studies of individual features in a portrait. I'm just using like an old panel, so when I do studies like this, I've got like this as a sketch of a rock. I've got quite a lot of space and a nice prepared panel to work on, so I'm going to be doing it down here, and it can be kind of nice to make these little panels. You sort of create nice collections. This is the one we did in the last session, and we did that eye study as well, so just carrying on from there. And you can see the reference I'm working from up in the top, to the left of the panel, and it's a fairly nicely lit, quite brightly lit, good clear shadows. It's daylight that the photo is taken. And yeah, so what we're going to do today is just get the basically like a wash drawing. So we're going to be using burnt umber, bit of medium, and a couple of brushes. We've got a kind of biggish brush that I'll be starting with, and a smaller brush that we'll be doing little finer refining details. So as with the last few studies, we want to think about the big forms of the forms that make up the feature. So in this case, it's the mouth has this sort of barrel shape at the bottom lip, and then sort of two barrels that meet with a curve in the center of the top lip. And then we kind of want to look at how like the lips fold back in and they create these occlusion shadows. There's very dark shadows at the corner of the mouth in the center, and then how they sort of barrel out and they get lighter as they go up towards the top. So I'm going to take some medium, a little bit of paint, and mostly a bit of medium just to get quite a washy finish. I've got some paper towel as well that I'll be using if I need to clean. And the first thing I want to think about is what's the tilt of the mouth. So we're sort of looking up in 3/4 at this face. So the mouth isn't straight on, it's got a slight angle upwards to the right. So something like that as the center line. This becomes our left-hand corner of the mouth and our right-hand corner of the mouth. Maybe a little bit flatter than that. So something along those lines. The center of the mouth doesn't sit in the center of this line because we're looking at it from the right-hand side. So the center of the mouth is going to be more kind of across to the center, or across in the middle there. And if I want to kind of get rid of anything, what I do is I just wipe it back, and that's what we're going to be doing day to day. So then the bottom lip sort of projects out, curves down a little bit, and has a kind of a central curve that's like this, and then the top lip curves back out above that, and you can sort of see that starting to form the overall lip shape. So then that casts a little shadow, so we can get this shadow shape in. We can wash across and fill that in. We want to get the shadow shapes in fairly early because they're going to start to kind of define the forms. And then top lip kind of curves in up there. And then that pretty much gives us our initial block-in of the lip shapes. Can maybe wipe off a little bit at the top. Then swap to the smaller brush. I'm just going to use that to just kind of wipe out a little bit. Some elements. I can take a bit of medium as well to clean up further. So I'm just using this to kind of clean up some of the shapes. Be a bit more specific with the edges. And this is kind of like if I was erasing with an eraser and I'd just drawn this in pencil. So that's why I call this stage a wash drawing. Up here as well, we can cut back in a little bit. and the filtrum, which drops down from the top of the nose, that sort of angles back up a little bit up here. And we'll go a little bit up into that top lip, but we won't go up into the nose, so we just want to kind of have that mapped out a little bit. I'm just going to soften this edge off slightly. And so you can see the form is starting to emerge from that. So I'm going to take a little bit more burnt umber now to start adding heavier notes where necessary. So we've got this corner of the mouth. And pull these sort of half-tone colours up as it wraps out of the shadow there. We've got a darker little note just underneath that bottom lip. So I'm sort of thinking just about how the how the shadows are wrapping around. Just going to clean my brush off a little bit because I want to wipe back slightly up here, this edge. And I want to get it to pull. Just losing that top edge slightly. So I don't want to make, with lips you don't want to make things like edges too harsh. Usually is one of the main things people do. So I'm going to get the filtrum sort of position in roughly. start to get some of the kind of creasing texture of the lips in. So I'm just again using some medium just to reshape the shadow edges slightly. So if I blend this out a little bit, I'm kind of making it a little bit lower, that shadow. And then we're going to need to add a little bit more tone to the right hand side of the lips, because they're sort of wrapping around and going into the shadow a little bit more than as indicated. Pull that out kind of this way, so as well as the light kind of barreling down, we also want it to kind of wrap across. So I'm just going to get even more burnt umber to make the edge of the shadows really clear. But try to keep this sense of reflected light underneath the lip as well. A slightly stronger sense of that bottom lip bulging out on the left hand side. And I'm also going to just get in, because it's so close to the edge of the face, I'm going to get head cheek in as well. And so the bottom of the chin wraps kind of quite far out from where we can see. We have a little bit of hair, the kind of crease going into head cheek on this left hand side as well. And that sort of wraps down a little bit and connects. So we can do a little suggestion of that just for next time. But we're getting to a point where we've got most of what we need in. To start working in colour. That's looking alright. So I'm just going to get a bit more thick amount of burnt umber just to do the occlusion shadow. So that's inside this lip where the two lips are meeting. It goes really dark. It's looking alright. So the last thing I'm going to do is just try to round out these half tones a little bit on the bottom lip, curving up into the light. This lip as well, just want to round up a bit. So just a tiny bit more on this lip. yeah, that's looking pretty good. So when we actually get colour in next week, we'll be doing a bit more kind of development of the highlights across the lips. And because we'll be looking at the main thing with lips, in this case she's obviously wearing makeup, but even when not, the lips are a slightly different colour, so they'll be a little bit pinker, and that's just something you have to kind of bear in mind, because you don't want like a harsh edge, but you do have to make it feel like it's a slightly different colour. But yeah, that's a good point to stop for today, and we can get actually maybe one last thing I'll do is just put a slightly darker background behind this side of the mouth, just to make that clear. Just contextualizes the lips a little bit more. But yeah, that's it. That's our wash drawing completed for this study. So next week we'll be just laying, this will be dry, so you let this bit dry, and we can lay colours over it, and we've got a pretty good guide for where we're going to put shapes. We can still make little adjustments and tweaks here and there, but this is a kind of nice solid foundation to then work in colour from. So yeah, as always, follow us or like us on YouTube to see videos from myself and other tutors and students, and you can also click the link in the description through to the school and see the sorts of paid qualifications that we offer as well. So yeah, that's it for today, and I'll see you guys soon.